Hello there and welcome once again to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Meyers. We're here every week meeting interesting people and dealing with topical issues. And today we welcome in someone who was right at the forefront of a lot of topical issues. And that's, let me get her name right here, Patti Neuhold-Ravikumar, who is the president at UCO and a fast-growing university here in the central Oklahoma.
Absolutely. We have been wanting to do a show with Patti for a while. We kind of left her alone after she got installed as president, let her get her feet on the ground, and then we started pestering her to come on the show, and she's been kind enough to do that. We have a lot of good feelings about UCO. In our home, we have a UCO graduate, and we're really proud of that.
What a year or two it's been to be placed in that position as a university president.
Well, by the way,
think how the world was different.
Indeed. One thing I want to add is she's also an Oklahoma Christian University where we are taping this show, graduate.
Yeah, short drive for her today to get to our studios.
Yes.
She'll join us when we get back. You're watching The Verdict.
Right now, 6 feet can feel like a long ways away. But from 6 feet, we can still smile at each other. From our doorways and our stairways, from opposite sides of the street and opposite sides of the country. Through fear and frustrations, we can remind each other that we are still here for each other. Because we can still smile at each other. And we're not going anywhere.
One of my first experiences working in TV, I was a production assistant. I was like, ask me to do anything and I'll do it. I'm just here to work hard. And so I think that eagerness goes a long way. My name is Ezekiel Walker. I am a TV producer in Los Angeles, and I am Chickasaw. As a kid, I saw the opportunity behind the lens to capture great stories. And I feel as though that's my purpose in life. And really close to my heart is the stories of my own people. There's a need to represent Native Americans and minorities in a genuine way. The Chickasaw Nation started with strong ancestors. It started with survivors. I have a responsibility to not let that be in vain, but to work hard and to keep moving forward and to keep conquering.
See more stories about the Chickasaw people at profilesofanation.com.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Meyers. Kent's going to introduce today's guest.
As we indicated in the open, we are really pleased today to have Patti Neuhold-Ravikumar as our guest, the president, the 21st president of the University of Central Oklahoma and the first woman to hold that position. We've been talking with her office back and forth for a while and really pleased we were able to get the arrangements worked out because we want to hear what she has to tell us about coming into a presidency in this kind of wild time of COVID. She did her undergraduate work at Oklahoma Christian University. She got her master's degree at the University of Tulsa, and she's working on a PhD at the current time. She joined UCO in 2007. She has been financial VP and CFO, had several other important positions, and has been in 2019.
Since in 2019, yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's right.
She was designated as president of UCO. Mm-hmm. She's got lots of civic activities and lots of things going on. And we appreciate her making the short drive down from UCO to the Oklahoma Christian campus to do this show for us. Patti, glad to have you.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate the invitation. It's good to see you both.
So the fall semester of 2019, I'm sure was laid out one way, but 20, I'm sure had to be a lot different. And then, so what is 21? Is it different from 20 and more similar to 19, or how would you?
I'd say it's a hybrid of those two things, truthfully. We're calling this pandemic 2.0 for us. It's certainly not over. It's certainly not back to what somebody would have considered normal 2 years ago. It's somewhere in between. So right now we're abiding by the law without masks, and so we're trying to do everything we can to encourage vaccinations among students. We're back together in person, but we're taking precautions in order to make sure events are in larger spaces, that if you can host it outdoors instead of indoors, those kind of alternatives. Again, we're still providing protective equipment for people across campus to make sure that everyone has the option to be as safe as they need to be.
Online classes, are they available sometimes, sometimes not? What's the status of
Sure.
that?
So you might be surprised to hear that more than 25% of our credit hours are generated online even prior to the pandemic. So that's been a growing interest for people in our community. And most of those students are from right here around our community. So this is not, we're not serving a lot of people from California and Iowa. These are folks right here who often take classes on campus and then also take an online class because it works for their schedule. It's a little more convenient for them. Or it might be the only option to acquire that particular credit they need. So in addition to that, we bolstered our online presence last year in order to make sure that everyone could attend class, that was not a barrier to people coming to class or people continuing their education. So if you were doing the generous and kind thing for the people around you by staying home to quarantine or to isolate as we asked you to based on maybe a health condition or COVID, we wanted to make sure that you could come into the classroom in a virtual way. And so we created what we called the extended classroom. And it allowed professors to have people in class. We de-densified the classroom in order to give space as well. And then we had a certain number of those people also joined at the same time virtually.
Well, belated congratulations to you. We're only about 2 years late in congratulating you on your presidency.
Thank you.
But I also want to congratulate you on the selection of your new dean of the business school.
Oh, thank you.
Jeremy Aller. Dr. Aller.
Dr. Aller is wonderful.
Yes, he is. We think highly of him.
We do too. We're so proud to have him. He's been a great member of our community for a number of years, and having him step into this leadership role has really been a stabilizing and energizing force for our College of Business.
Well, he seems to bring that to every endeavor he gets involved in. He's very good. You have about how many enrollees this semester?
Well, right now, approximately about 14,000. We are about a week away from having our census number, our final tally for the semester. We're in that period of last day to add and last time to drop kind of thing. So it's a little soft right now, but we're looking at about 14,000.
And of those, how many would be in residence?
So we probably have about 2,500 on campus. Yeah.
Has your enrollment remained pretty constant during this time of COVID, or has it fluctuated wildly?
It's fluctuated quite a bit. Last year, I think everyone in the state was bracing themselves. We just didn't know exactly what the effect would be. We knew that it was a rough transition for our students, no matter how much each of the institutions worked hard to make it smooth and manageable for everyone. But in the spring of 20, we knew that was a rough transition for our students. We had the summer to prep for that. We came into the fall. And a lot of high school seniors had just decided last year they were going to sit out for a year. They'd lived through the last little bit of that intro to the pandemic, their senior year, and thought, I'm going to take a year off. I'm going to do something else. And so last year we had a pretty big dip. This year it's still, enrollment is down a little bit for us overall, but we're showing that more people are coming back and taking more hours. So I think we've got more dedicated students coming back that are determined and resilient to push through and finish that degree with us.
I'm not hearing as much talk about budgetary issues in higher ed this year. Is that my imagination, or have there just been other things that seem to have taken the major topics?
So that's a good point to bring up. I think finances are an ongoing concern for us. I would say for all of higher education, some institutions more than others, anytime enrollment goes down, that's a stressor for any institution. So no matter how healthy you are financially prior to that moment. So anybody who's experiencing a downward turn in enrollment is looking at how do we shore up ourselves financially. We've been given a little bit of extra money from the state this year to focus on teacher shortages, nursing shortages, engineering shortages. And so we have a little bit of funds, but those are earmarked for specific things. So those expenses that we had that are ongoing that we still didn't have money for, we still don't. Nothing that more money from the state couldn't help, but we're trying to ease the burden on our students as much as possible during this time as well.
2-3 years ago, we were talking about teacher shortages and how we needed to produce more, and there may be no better provider of young teachers than UCO.
Thank you, yeah.
In last week's show, Patti Davis talked about a shortage of nurses, and I know there's a nursing program at UCO. So have you seen an emphasis in trying to help resolve some of the state shortages, and maybe more of that falls on your shoulders than maybe any other school president out there?
Well, thank you for acknowledging that work. You know, UCO has been a proud contributor to instructors and teachers of all levels through our state for decades. As well, we have a very competitive and in-demand nursing program. We have a lot of exceptionally qualified students that are waiting to get into that program. But as Patti may have mentioned to you, it's a capacity issue. So how do we get enough instructors who are qualified to teach those classes into the classrooms for us? So we're partnering as best we can with our state, with our metro area. Oklahoma City Metro is an absolute essential lockstep partner for us. So where they hurt, we hurt, and we need to make sure that we're responding in that way. We're building partnerships with people like Patti Davis in order to make sure that we are designing curriculum that is on point, that's relevant, that's needed for tomorrow's hospital and healthcare, the same as well for our teachers.
You mentioned enrollment is down. Are we graduating more teachers or fewer teachers? What are the trends there?
So as you know, Oklahoma has struggled over the last, 5-6 years, maybe a little bit longer, with trying to get enough qualified teachers in the classrooms. Pay was an issue for a while, and then that was addressed, thank goodness. We're very grateful for that. And I still think we have some reverberation from that change in demeanor and an acceptance of the value of education in our state. So we still are working to try and rebuild that trust with students who love being in those classrooms, who love teaching students and inspiring people who will inspire others. And so we're trying to reach into the heart of those folks and bring them back in a way that lets them know we're going to be there to support them even after they graduate. UCO has a great partnership with people in the classrooms right now, making sure that we're giving them the tools to teach online, mentoring, opportunities to learn about new classroom management techniques and the like.
Patti Neuhold-Ravikumar is our guest. She's the president at UCO. We'll be back with more of The Verdict right after this.
One of the best kept secrets about the post 9/11 GI Bill benefit is that it can be used at a trade school or a technical school, and it doesn't have to be used at a university or college. These are benefits that the veterans have earned through their service, and they should take advantage of it.
Veterans really need to understand that there are many resources offered by the Oklahoma Department of Veteran Affairs. They're there to help you find the right school for you, the school that will help you and your family make great steps into your future.
OU Law has a history and heritage that are unparalleled. At the University of Oklahoma College of Law, we empower our students to pursue the career of their dreams. We have the highest U.S. News ranking ever achieved by an Oklahoma law school. We are the first law school in the country to launch a college-wide digital initiative. And this year, our competition teams rank number 2 in the nation. OU Law, generations of excellence, limitless possibilities.
Patti Neuhold-Ravikumar is our guest. She's the president at UCO. During the break, you brought up a term, micro-credential. What do you mean by that?
So a micro-credential is a type of credential that allows professionals to come into higher education and grab the knowledge that they need. It's kind of an in-the-moment, just-in-time kind of training for what you need in order to help build new skills for a promotion you're looking for, maybe to make a change in your career to a totally new job. This is often something that people come in and grab a little bit of knowledge to shore something up, or maybe to learn about the newest change in laws or policies that pertain to what it is that you do every day.
Is this like technology, for
So
instance?
it could be technology, it could be leadership, it could be finance, it could be teacher education, it could be anything. Right now we have 13 micro-credentials that are currently available for folks, and we've got 14 on deck. And then about 20 or so that are in development behind the scenes, just trying to find their way through the channel So this is something that's really taken a hold in the state. We are on the leading edge of it, I'm proud to say. We've got a great team of people working with the state regent's office in order to help develop this responsibly for the state.
If I added that up right, that's close to 50, almost 50
That's correct.
micro-credentials.
That's correct, yeah.
How did you, did this start under your tutelage?
Yes, it did.
How did the idea come to you to do this, or whomever it came to?
Sure, sure. Well, this is something that, anything that we develop on campus is a collaborative effort. So trying to pinpoint the source of the idea is a little tough because it starts in one corner and then it grows into something even better. So I would tell you that this has been a conversation that started probably right as I came on board. Micro-credential was a little new to the scene. I think there are some other institutions in the United States that had probably adopted it before that time. And so as I started to explore that and share that news with others on campus who would help shape what that would look like, there was real interest from the university and from our faculty in order to meet not only the needs of people who are current students who might want a credential on their way to a degree, but also for helping our workforce development. So this is an opportunity for us to, as I mentioned, reach out and partner very closely with the Oklahoma City metro area. In addition to that, part of one of our organizations, LX Studio, has been leveraged to build an intern OKC partnership with the Oklahoma City Chamber of Commerce. And so this is just one more way that we are trying to link arms with the metro for the future.
There's been lots of changes in immigration law over the last few years that have affected university, and now COVID has put yet another barrier in getting people from one country to another. How has that affected enrollment? And is that something that you've been involved with and trying to help our legislature and our federal government deal with?
Yeah, sure. Good question. Thank you. So it has impacted us quite significantly, unfortunately to the negative side, as it is hard for anyone to travel in general around the world right now. You can imagine just the natural attrition from people coming over here to study. In addition to that, you have the national climate, you have how difficult it is to get money out of a country, how challenging maybe the visa process is for some of these students. And so we just have had some barriers that have been up for one reason or another in the United States, that we've had to work with other countries in order to maintain healthy relationships, even though we couldn't exchange students during that time. And that's been key, really. We expect this to turn around slowly, but surely. For instance, this year we have twice as many students already enrolled than we had last year of international students. Now, it's not a big number because there's still we still are in the pandemic, right? And there's still issues with getting money out of certain countries. But some of those roadblocks are being cleared here on the United States side, and so it's enabling us to do more there. We always try to work with our state legislatures to give them information, to let them know how legislation might impact us from a federal perspective or a state perspective. And that empowers them to take that information and make good decisions for all of us. So we will continue that partnership and continue to build relationships with our international partners.
Just approximately how predominant is the Oklahoma student in your enrollment?
Oh, very. One of the wonderful things about UCO is that we were designed to serve Oklahoma, first and foremost. We're proud of that. I'm proud to tell you that 85% of our students come from Oklahoma, and about the same number choose to stay after they graduate. So we love students that come to us from other states. We're happy to show them the Oklahoma way and let them know what it means to be a Bronco. But we are here very proudly to serve Oklahoma, and we're going to continue to do that.
Let's talk about athletics.
Okay.
What can you tell me about the Bronco football team this year and the women's sports as well?
I tell you, we are raring to go. You might have seen that UCO won another national championship in rowing. Our women's rowing team is now a three-peat team. So national honor here, right? I think you're probably most familiar with the term, the river that we used to mow, we now row,
That's
right?
right.
And so we are the No Coast Kids, as we've been called by, I believe Mike Turpin calls us the No Coast Kids. So we're proud to have a national championship team. Our tennis team, women's tennis team, is also at the championship level, winning tournaments and conference championships. I can't say enough about our basketball folks, our volleyball teams, our softball. We are really making a mark when it comes to our region, as well as the D2 profile. So we're proud of that. Our football team is raring to go. They have been chomping at the bit to get out on that field and play against another team. Last year was incredibly disruptive to everybody. And with the testing protocols and the requirements for not playing when there's a COVID case, it really put a big pinch in the season. So we've got a season of folks who are ready to come in and just really tear up the field.
I don't know if this is a sensitive topic or not, but Patty Davis last week talked about vaccinations and young people. Right. Is that something that's been an emphasis of college presidents in the state of Oklahoma, or you specifically?
Oh my goodness, yes, absolutely. I think each of us feel a responsibility for the thousands of students that have trusted their education to us. And in addition to that, they've trusted their care to us, and their families have done so as well. So I believe all the universities and the presidents in Oklahoma are taking this extremely seriously. And we will do everything possible to make this the safest environment we can. We are, like most institutions in the state, are incentivizing our students to try and get a vaccination. We are asking that they wear masks. We're not requiring it, but we are asking it. And we're sharing relevant statistics with them that help them understand from very reliable, curated, and valid sources, here's what's really going on with this virus in our community. We want you to know, we want you to be empowered to find this information for yourself. We have to curate some of that for them, right? As you might know, social media tends to lead the way for a lot of folks in forming an opinion, and it's hard to fight that tide sometimes. So it's an absolute concern for us, but we're doing everything possible to protect our students and our faculty and staff.
How's your student and faculty recruiting going? Are you hard at it?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I think as the pandemic has caused some churn across the country in all kinds of fields, we're hearing about people who want to work from home more, and so they're finding a job where they can do that. People who took time to figure out they want to make money on their hobby instead of go back to what they used to do. There's just, I think, a churn in what people are wanting out of life at this point. I also know that it's been very, very difficult for some of our lifelong educators in the classroom. Dealing with the pandemic forced a lot of our instructors to change their teaching identity on some level. They've taught a certain way, used a certain method, and it's been good and positive and helpful. But in a pandemic, when you remove the ability to have that one-on-one individual connection with folks, it becomes a challenge. And so we've had turnover with folks who decided, I'm going to retire, I'm capable of retiring, I think I'm just going to see y'all later, have fun. And so, it's part of it is natural attrition, part of it is caused, I believe, by the pandemic. And like any cycle, this will pick back up, and we'll have some stronger, newer faculty as we move forward.
What is this coming year looking like for you insofar as capital improvements? Are you going to be engaging in anything earth-shaking?
Yeah. So with the pandemic, we want to make sure we're being as fiscally responsible as we can. We've spent the last decade doing a lot of capital improvements on our campus, building new wings, building new chiller plants, or building just entirely new facilities. And so we have a lot of what we need right now. Some of our facilities are aging out. It's kind of sacrilegious to say, right? We've got a 100-year-old building that's still serving as a classroom. Well, I mean, there's certain things you can do in a 100-year-old building. There's some that you can't. And so we need to be really thoughtful as we go forward. This is going to be more about what are we building that's responding directly to, as I've said, what the Oklahoma City Metro needs, as well as our state. And so if I were to look ahead and say in the next 5 years, we're going to be looking at building plans for an allied health facility, which would allow us to respond to nursing and mental health, physical therapy, anything that we can do to help the healthcare industry is what we're really looking to do. As well as we've got a school of design we need to get back up on its feet. We've got a building waiting to be filled, so we're going to do some of those things. But by and large, we're going to take care of what we have and try to update things.
Well, President Neuhold-Ravikumar, thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
Congratulations for the success of all of the things that are going on UCO, and you have our prayers and our thoughts. And
an invitation to come back anytime.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Kent and I will be back with a final word after this.
It used to be okay in hospitals. It used to be okay in movie theaters. It was okay in classrooms, restaurants, and airplanes. But thanks to a greater understanding of the dangers, that's not okay anymore. So now that we know secondhand smoke causes lifelong health problems, why is it still okay to smoke with children in the car? Bottom line, It's not okay. Let's get serious about protecting kids. Join the fight at stopswithme.com.
All children deserve a life of hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
You have children coming from a different lifestyle, different mindset. You have to open your arms and really do what you have to do to have that child become a part of your family. And if it's more patience, that's what you do. Kids got to know they can trust you. And that's what we've tried to do with these kids.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
The Journal-Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal-Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Meyers. We've been visiting with the president of UCO, Patti Neuhold-Ravikumar, and well, you can see what a great representative she is for the student body there and really central Oklahoma as a whole.
Yes, and she comes into that presidency with a wealth of experience at UCO prior to that election. And it's obviously paying off for UCO to have somebody that knows where the problems are and what the solutions are in that position. She's doing a grand job, and I'm confident we're going to hear a lot more about UCO.
Well, it's a new era for university presidents. I mean, the last 2 years have been so hectic and chaotic, with the traditional issues with financing and then trying to deal with the health conditions. We have new leadership at OSU, we have new leadership at OU, we have new leadership in Tulsa. I mean, it's been we're at a crossroads, I think, for higher ed, and I think she represents kind of a new era for central Oklahoma. Her website is uco.edu, that's uco.edu, and we have a website, it's called The Verdict, theverdict.tv. We'll see you next week with another show. See you then.